Bouyon! Like a sauce.
Let the rhythm inspire you at the St. Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival 2026. Pure Jazz. Tuesday, May 5th, Grammy-winning Esperanza Spalding. Then on Thursday, May 7th, Branford Marcellus Quartet. May 6th, Kingdom Night. Gospel Powerhouse Ty Trebet. Ada AE. Then feel the rhythm at Caribbean Fusion. Friday, May 8th, featuring the original Wailers with Al Anderson. Skip Marley cast the band. Imran Nerdy, Dexter Daps. World Beats. Saturday, May 9th, Afrobeat sensation Thames. Princess Lover, X-Man, Lou City, October 4, and Ella May. The Ultimate Celebration, Sunday, May 10th, featuring the legendary Billy Ocean. Beverly Knight, Mervyn Wilkinson, R&B icons Brandy and Monica. Online tickets available at stluciajazzandartsfestival.com.
Thursday, April 30th, the St. Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival 2026. Opening night ignites at the Phillip Park, and we're blazing the trail with the King of Fire, Capleton.
Say more fire. Slew them up, be feelings, them a carry. Them done bow already, and them
Capleton.
Jaja City, Jaja Town, them off it on it in a cowboy town.
Smooth and melodic Diani. Dancehall's bold new voice, Valiant. The King of Bouyon, Asa Bantan. Country power with international star
You say that your new love's not
Amber Digby. St. Lucian country icons LM Stone and Siobhan Seeley. Plus a special tribute to Kaiso legends. Thursday, April 30th at the Phillip Park. Be there. Tickets online at stluciajazzandartsfestival.com and physical tickets at regular outlets.
With all the wonders in the world, St. Lucia's only meant for me. So much history to be told and so much more for eyes to see. The colors, feel the love, I can tell you all the way. Proud of it, proud of it, proud of it, proud of it. It don't matter where I voyage, it don't matter where I roam. Majestic people stand.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Bouyon. I am, of course, your host, Peter D. And tonight I am so happy to have four amazing, talented individuals with us, all part of the Rotary Club. And I'm going to, as we delve into our discussion, I will let them explain what Rotary Plus is all about. But let me first introduce them, or allow them to introduce themselves. I want to say good night to you guys. Good night and welcome. Welcome to our Bouyon talk show. I want to say good night. And of course, I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to introduce yourself to our audience. Let people know who you are and what you guys are all about. But you know, Chris, I want to get something I want you to say something about yourself, let people know who you are, but I also want you to tell us something funny or unique about yourself. That's a good one, right?
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm Chris Pion, the president of Rotary Club Caribbean Plus. Although as much as I might be very English and I do stick to my afternoon tea, I do have some. I do definitely have strong connections in the Caribbean, and what brought me over here was Carnival back in the late '90s. And I've been in the Caribbean a long time, and I do enjoy this part of the world so much for its culture. I think it's absolutely fantastic.
You know, that's a good thing, Chris, because you know the thing is, if you're in St. Lucia during Carnival, Watch Radio is going to be on the island, and we have a very massive and great all-inclusive breakfast fete happening on the 12th of July. So if you're on the island, let me know, man, because I'll be in St. Lucia as well. So
I'll be in touch. Yeah, I'll be in touch. Just made a mental note of that date.
All right, good, man. Zah.
Hi, I am Zara Joseph, originally from St. Lucia, but I'm now based in New York City. Do you need me to say anything funny?
I do. I need each of you all to say something funny or unique about yourself.
Well, interestingly, when the intro music started playing, I was then, jiving to the Bouyon, and the entire song went in my head. But I do not like to dance zouk music because it is exhausting. So kudos to everybody that can make it through at least one song.
And I learned a very interesting fact about you behind the scenes, that you are from Swazi, you are from Swazel, Mun Swazi Mamai Lakai, like they say. And just like my grandparents and my mom is from Swazel, so I always refer to myself as a Swazel boy. And from Victoria again. So you see, we're from the same area, right?
Shout out to all the Statleys in Victoria, Choiseul.
Amazing.
Bonsoir.
Amazing. Bonsoir, Mama Iswazai. Alwyn?
Hey, good evening. Hi. My name's Alwyn Urquhart, and I am based at the moment in Barbados. And I don't know if I have anything funny about myself. Yesterday when I was chatting to somebody, I called myself a tumbleweed because, like a lot of Caribbean folks, I started in one spot and I've kind of rolled all over the world, and have thoroughly enjoyed the experience. So English by birth and tumbled on from there. So
I learned yesterday from you that you've lived from St. Lucia to Canada to all over, man. So you're well traveled. You're well traveled, and that means you have a depth of knowledge of different culture and different community and different lifestyles and civilizations. So kudos to you as well.
Thank you.
And to the second man on the panel, Conrad, I want to say good night to you, brother. How are you doing?
I'm living my dream. How are you?
You must be living your dream based on where you are in the world, So I'm good, thank you. So tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us a fun fact about you.
Yeah, man. Well, first of all, I'm the token Austrian, a token European on the club. I came to the Caribbean on vacation in 1985, believe it or not. Got a job offer. I was supposed to go to Canada, but I heard it was cold up there. So they decided to stay in the Caribbean. And since 33 years, then I live in St. Lucia. I moved here to the Helen of the West Indies. And I call it my home. Initially, we stayed because we didn't want the kids to have to change schools. When you leave, hotel managers are like football coaches. They either leave on their own, they get fired, right? Or they retire. So it's true. So the kids are gone. They live somewhere else in the world, and we're here. So we're staying.
Okay. All right, great. And let me tell you, you cannot be in a better place than where you are. You in St. Lucia, right?
Yeah, man.
All right. Let me
I'm
tell
with
you. That is really, really good stuff. Once again, guys, I want to thank you all. It's your first time on the Bouyon Talk Show. I really do hope it is not the last time. I had a conversation with some of you yesterday, and it was quite interesting. I really like the fact that we were able to connect yesterday, so that was a really good time. We were supposed to spend, I think, 15 minutes, but we ended up spending almost an hour or so online, just having a conversation. So that was really good. Let's for the audience, members of the audience who are here, I see we have quite a few people on. Wow. Let me just first of all say to individuals that if you're joining us for the very first time, this is a very interactive show. We ask you guys to join, to chime in, we could have a conversation. If you do not comment, we will not see you. We will see the numbers, but we'll not know that you're watching unless you say hi or say hello to us. I can see Rahanda, I could see Leona, Sabina, I could see you guys. I want to say good night and thank you guys so much. Everybody who have joined, you can drop a line and say hello, or I encourage everybody to share the page, share the live, tell somebody that we're on, because we're going to have a very interesting conversation with these 4 individuals. Let's talk a little bit about what is Rotary of the Caribbean E-Club. What is Rotary Caribbean Plus? What is that about, and how did it all start? But before we go into that, tell us a little bit about the Rotary organization. What is the objective, and why was it formed in the first place? I think I might defer that question to Christopher.
Yeah, well, Rotary has a big history. It goes back down to 1905 when it was first created in Chicago. Some like-minded people got together, put together a club, and the Rotary logo really comes to the fact that they wanted to move around all the time, so they rotated the meetings, and from that base and start, it just grew bigger. And it started off as a humanitarian. It was about service above self, and it's all about promoting integrity and world peace. So it had a very strong basis, and we still continue with those values now, which is great to know. There's been a lot of consistency in what we feel, and that's what we believe in as a club. Since 1905, it did expand very rapidly, and the next club really outside the US was in London and then Ireland, and it did grow quite significantly to the point now that it's got 1.2 million members. We're represented in 200 different countries, and we have 46,000 different clubs. So it is quite a personal organization with small clubs dotted all over the world. So it's not a big organization in the community, but it does have a big organization set up to provide the support that we need. In Rotary itself, it has 7 areas of focus. And these are the areas of focus that we try to stick to and follow. We look at peace building, disease prevention, clean water, maternal and child health care, education, local economic growth, and then the environment. Those are the areas that Rotary looks to work on. And one of the biggest areas it looks at is polio eradication, where we've been very instrumental in getting to the point now that we're 99% of eradicated polio. It does pop up from time to time, but there's a great structure in place to eradicate polio as it is.
Oh, very interesting. I didn't realize there was 7 areas that the Rotary Club focused on, and that's good. That's good to know. And tell us, Chris, how did the Rotary Caribbean Plus E-Club come about? Who were the visionaries behind that, and what caused them to think of creating such an organization, or that aspect of the organization, if that makes sense?
Well, I think we should turn around to one of our club elders, Conrad, because there's a very focused group of Rotarians who got together, and one of which was Conrad. And okay. I think Conrad would probably be a better exponent or a better person to explain the history behind the club itself.
Thank you. All right, Conrad, it's all yours, man.
In many ways, Rotary is misunderstood, right? In many ways, people think it's a club of old men that meet once a week for lunch, and unfortunately, that is sometimes not entirely wrong. Sometimes clubs get set in their ways. They do things the way because they've done them always like this, and the world is changing, obviously, right? And so some of us felt that there was a better way, a different way to make a contribution to our communities. So 3 of us from another Rotary club said, there's this thing called E-Club where, following on to COVID, Rotarians meet now electronically and don't necessarily spend 2.5 hours to drive somewhere, sit down for an hour, have lunch, and then go back to work. So and so the three of us then got together. We tested the water a little bit, and we figured there's fertile ground with Rotarians that had left Rotary because they simply cannot make the time commitment anymore to go to these meetings, but they still have something to contribute to society. And since Rotary International endorses the whole concept, we just decided to start an E-Club, basically. And then we reached out to some people that were similar-minded and that also were past Rotarians. I said, listen, I still want to do something, but I rather do this. And then our main focus is not necessarily to meet for lunch and spend money on a meal, but to do projects. Our main aim is to spend our energy on doing projects throughout. And because it's an E-Club, we're not geographically limited. We can be anywhere in the world.
Wow, that's a very good point. Thank you for that. Let's just acknowledge. I see Natalie is on. I want to say good night to everybody who have joined us. I see Catherine. I see Harriet is on. Lancy, I can see you as well. Chelsea, I see you. Good night to you. And good night and thank you for everybody who have joined. Once again, I ask you guys, I want to encourage you to like and share the page, tell a friend to tell a friend, and get them involved in the conversation as well. Conrad, you made a very important point there. You said people think that the Rotary Club is a bunch of old men who just meet to have something to eat, right? And just have a conversation. That was what you said. So let me ask you, what do you say to a young person listening to you right now that wants to make a difference? What would you say to them?
Well, first of all, we would welcome you to Rotary, right? The main aim is that you feel like you have a contribution to make to your community, right? Don't look in any big international way. Look down the road, see if you feel that you have something to give. And then Rotary is the ideal vehicle to do this, right? Because sometimes people want to help, but they really don't have the trigger. They don't have the means. They say, well, it's overwhelming. I can't do it. And if you join Rotary, first of all, there's training behind, there's fellowship. People will guide you. And also they will motivate you. Believe it or not, you get sucked into this whole thing. So what it does is if you have something to contribute, Rotary is the ideal way to channel it and use your contribution with other people's contribution for the greater good.
Thank you for that. So I hope the young persons listening that they will take on your advice. And of course, before the show ends, we'll tell people how they can become part of the Rotary Caribbean Plus and even the local Rotary clubs in the various countries. Zah, I want to really turn my focus to you. You're the secretary and of course the president-elect. Tell us, how does the process in terms of normally when a president is elected, they normally take office right away in a lot of organizations, right? So it was kind of a bit strange to me when I was having a conversation with Chris, who's the president, and he said, oh, Zah is going to be taking over, and she's currently the secretary, but taking over from me soon. When does your presidency, at what stage does it start? And tell us a little bit about that process. How does that work?
Well, one of the great things about Rotary is having that sort of forward thinking or strategy. And because of that, we try to have a leader in place for the next 3 years. So you have the sitting president, who right now is Chris. You have the president-elect who will take the next year. And then we also have something called a president's nominee, which will be the 3rd year. And you keep that cycle going. So that way the club is sustainable and you always identify who is going to lead the members in, producing and having those projects and being able to reach the community. And that's very important because with a community-based club, you don't ever want the ball to drop. And that can happen if you have a lag in identifying who's the leader. What does that look like? We members among ourselves nominate somebody, and then we have an election to say, you will be the one leading us for this year. And we identify. And that year is from July to June of the following year. So Chris is going to continue leading us, and that his term ends June this year, and my term starts July this year and ends in June next year. And like I said, it's just really about making sure there's continuity and sustainability for our club and the communities that we reach out to and serve.
You know, that makes so much sense because, you know, especially when you're doing big projects, you don't want the ball to drop. So that makes a lot of sense. I want to speak with Alwyn. Let's talk to you a little bit. A little bit. You're there so quiet, and I know you have a lot to say. Um, what does service above self looks like in action for the organization?
That's a great question. I think a lot of people want to serve, and service above self is something that's so key and so it's so integral to how Rotary operates. We basically put the objective above the individual need, right? So for persons who want to be involved in service projects, they get together with like-minded folks, and that becomes a focus for them. In an e-club, the interesting thing about service above self is that you have to be creative about how you deliver your projects. For instance, one of our recent projects was in installing a water station at the Clendon Mason Memorial Secondary School in Dennery. And of all the people on that project team, Conrad, as we see here, was on site. And we also had a wonderful lady named Mary Wilfred, who was our community liaison. And so virtually we all contributed, and that meant meetings upon meetings upon meetings. People like, oh, here she comes again. So it means taking time out of your day. I mean, if you look at SAR has an active family engagement going on. We're looking at hotel managers here, hotel owners. So we're looking at people who basically carve time out of their lives to represent the community, to put in place projects of need in the community. In addition to service projects, we also do initiatives that interact with the community. For instance, at Christmas, members of the club will go down into areas where there is need, and we'll make sure that grocery vouchers are handed out or that contributions are given to members of community. In addition, there was a visit to Font Saint-Jacques recently where folks that don't maybe have the resources for the standard of life that we'd all like to have are visited. And I remember our past president, Lathan Khan, saying how touched he was and how he had to really take a moment to look at how people made their daily lives and really wanted to put an effort in place to raise funding to improve life, those standards of living where possible. So it's really just putting yourself, just seeing where you are in community and how you can then contribute as a whole along with like-minded members, not just in the club, but we can also partner with other clubs across the world and put together projects to help people who in need. So where government may or may not be able to step up, the Rotary Club is here to make sure that we're serving the community.
You know, thank you for that. And you made a very good point. You use Conrad as an example because he was local, he was on the ground, and he could have assisted. But let's just say you're doing a project in a community where there's no Rotarian, right? There's nobody who's linked to Rotary Caribbean Plus, right? Mm-hmm. How important is it for the role of collaboration in achieving the objectives of the Rotary Caribbean Plus?
Anybody can chip in, but I'll start out by saying we realize how super important it is to make sure that we establish on the ground somebody who can act for us in an in-person way. At the assembly where we presented the water station to the school, I said every project will need a Mary, and that is our Mary Wilfred, because Mary was available when she was on vacation. I could WhatsApp her and say, Mary, I need to get this response from somebody. Can you interact? Can you intercede for us? So whereas say a Conrad could get up could put the water station on the truck and drive it south. And we all kind of got to interact with the journey as he and the team went south. People like Mary who are in the community and who make it super important to make sure that the project is delivered, they're so key. So wherever we go, part of our way of delivering a project virtually will be to make sure we put in place those resources that are represented by folks like Mary and Conrad, as we did in this last project.
You know, you don't have to call my name every time, right? So, but I want to say something that is very important. Rotary very often is the glue that holds a lot of these things together, right? And I like to make an analogy. You know, you hear about a German product, a German car, you automatically assume it's good and of a high standard, right? If the Rotary Club takes something on, the community and the civic leaders and the government will immediately assume that we do it properly, that we won't take a single dime for ourselves if you raise it for a project, because we will not, right? And so when we approach somewhere, we get people's attention fairly fast. And then they will work with us and open their doors and help with what they need to do to make the project a reality. I sent this morning some pictures of a project that we're working on, right? And within half an hour, the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Finance called me, right, to talk about it. And I said, P.S., you don't have to work on a Sunday. He says, no, but I just saw your pictures, right? So that's really where we are. We very often bring people together and pool resources and put a little bit of our money and our expertise into it. But we're really the glue that holds it together.
I really love that. I love what you guys are doing. Let's just take a few of the comments. Natalie, I see you, Natalie Augustine. I want to say good night to you as well. She said, hi, Peter and my fellow club members. So good night to you. Mary Beth Sutton just says community connection is essential. And that's what you're talking about when you talk about making sure that we get the people to work together to make things happen. But guys, for many of persons who are not aware, probably didn't even know there was a Rotary Caribbean E plus or plus E club, and didn't know that there was a virtual club or something online. Tell us what makes the E club different from the traditional Rotary club. I know Conrad did explain a little bit about that. I don't know if you want to expand on that just a little bit more.
I think the secretary is perfect to say that, because she's a computer whiz. She's a computer whiz. She can do things that I can't even think of, right?
All right.
We're working on this conference now, and I'm baffled every single day how these things happen. So
the short answer is we have the vibe.
I love that.
We're Caribbean, and it's so interesting too, because one of the things when Conrad was talking about the perception of old people, even within our club, because we are an E-club, we have such diversity, not just in location, diversity in age, diversity in, gender. We're just really hitting so many nails on the head when we think about an all-inclusive environment and community, which is what this Caribbean Plus Club gives. And that is sort of what we ride on, that we are Caribbean first. So that means we must have vibe. We cannot be boring. Then we're electronic. That means we should always try to be available. We have a set schedule for our meetings, and we make it easy for people to join. And that's where some of the things that Conrad talks about, making sure we have a nice website, a nice page with our events. You can click and enter, and it's not too much of a hassle, even if you are not technologically savvy. So we're making sure we are meeting the needs of our members. And at the same time, we're making sure that we're always creating a sense of welcome for anybody who's interested. And as when Conrad was talking earlier, and I know he says don't call his name, but it's because he really does bring a lot to us in terms of understanding history, what works well. But one of the things is, and when persons leave Rotaries because maybe it doesn't work for them anymore, and as an E-club, and I don't think any of us mentioned it yet, we are the first E-club in what is called Rotary's District 7030, and that is the Caribbean islands from St. Kitts to the north, down to Trinidad to the south, and we tack on the ABC Islands, the Dutch Antilles, and Guyana, Suriname, French Guyana. So that's like a lot of territories, and we are the first e-club bringing that global flair. So because of all of these great things, that is really what helps us stand out. We hope we have other e-clubs within the region. I know within Rotary there are other e-clubs, but that ability to have folks connect, even if you're not in a physical space, that I think is what our club really thrives on. And being Caribbean, bringing the vibe.
Thank you.
We have really good meetings. I mean, we have really good meetings. People that come to our meetings and say, "Wow, I didn't realize you can have a meeting like this online."
Do we have like olive and cheese and wine and stuff at our meetings?
Yep, that's part of it. Fellowship is a big part of it.
Whatever you have in front of you, we still try to do the traditional toasts,
right.
And stuff. And I know some of our members who are on are like, boy, I'm still struggling to pay attention. But definitely, even when they're struggling, we help them. They could be in their car, they could be on the move. I'm typically on the soccer field.
Like you were yesterday, okay?
But yeah, everybody around you know that you are part of this Rotary Club, and this is what you're doing. So all the other soccer moms know when I have a meeting, what's going on and what's the end goal, and it continues to spread the message of what good Rotary is doing.
All right. Good vibe. Natalie just said, you think to us, she said, some members are still struggling to listen into this right now. And Marybeth Sutton says, go Taz, you are the vibe. So you are the vibe, you must be the life of the party.
That goes to a member of ours, Lahela.
Let me ask you, Chris, how does your mission, the Rotary Caribbean Plus mission, aligns with the traditional goals of Rotary International?
Well, Rotary has a very good structure in place, quite a formal structure in place that does provide a lot of guidance. In terms of structure, we start as a club and we report to a district, and that district reports to a zone, and then that zone is part of the actual board for Rotary International. So there's quite a formal structure there. And within that structure, they set goals like any organization, and we measure our performance against those goals. There are certain goals that are really important, like, for example, our contribution, how much we contribute financially to Rotary International. The more we contribute to Rotary International, more money is available for our community projects. They also set goals such as membership, because at the end of the day, we're only as good as our members. So we really do need to make certain that we've got a constant growth in membership. It's not always that easy. So we've got different demographics that hit us, age, different communities have different issues. So we're always trying to actually grow the club, and we're always reaching out to new members where possible. But they've all got to be like-minded people. We want people who share the same vision that we share, and have the same priorities that we're looking for. And the other side to it is that we're also looking at being a fellowship. So there's a big way of measuring how much we sort of interact with one another. How often do we get together? How often have there been organized events outside the club where we've got together and joined together and talked and shared our thoughts? We often we try to organize that. For us, it's a big challenge, of course, because we're so spread out all over the world. But in this month, we're going to be getting together, and one of our members has very generously donated her house to the club, and we're going to have a fantastic evening. So those are the things we do, and we do measure it all the time. So I'm often sending information up to see how we're achieving these goals. And also, what we also have is there's a lot of training. This is really good for the actual personal development for individuals, especially for those young people who are looking to grow in any organization. We go online and we have some fantastic training materials that actually do give certificates and allow us to become better people, and allows us to understand why we're with Rotary and what tools are available with Rotary, to make certain we're all going in the same direction, and we understand what the standards are, what the goals are, what the ethic codes are. and where we all work on the same page.
Thank you for that. We will take a short commercial break, but before we go, just the next question I have in mind is I want you guys to think about, what does the success look like to you guys as an organization, and how do you actually measure your success and the impact that you're causing on lives or communities as well? All right, but we'll take a short commercial break. We'll be right back. But before we go, I wanted to just say something to Natalie. Natalie says, wine? Gosh, no. Persons like me don't drink. Okay, Natalie, thank you so much for that, young lady. This is the young lady who's always in Carnival, who's always enjoying herself, jumping around. Natalie says, I don't drink. All right, guys, we'll take a commercial break. We'll be right back, okay? Right after these messages. All right.
Let the rhythm inspire you at the St. Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival 2026. Pure Jazz. Tuesday, 5th May at the Pavilion in Rodney Bay. We lead with Grammy winner, virtuoso bassist and vocalist Esperanza Spalding. Esperanza Spalding.
Smile like that makes me smile like that now.
All the way from Trinidad and Tobago, Chantal Estelle and Moyine, St. Lucian artists Camille Chalamine and Leandra Modeste. Then on Thursday, May 7th, experience the legendary Branford Marsalis Quartet. Also featuring Jesse Billy and Echoes. Online tickets available at stluciajazzandartsfestival.com.
All the wonders in the world, St. Lucia's only meant for me. So much history to be told and so much more for eyes to see. The colors, feel the love, I can tell you all the way. Proud of it, proud of it, proud of it, proud of it. It don't matter where I voyage, it don't matter where I roam. Majestic people stand.
Hi, this is Aaron Henry, and I am inviting you to St. Lucia's National Day Committee Inc. Prayer Breakfast on Saturday, April the 18th, 2026. Hey, listen, I want you to come with a heart of prayer as we lift up the name of Jesus Christ. Hey, Prayer Breakfast 2026 is going to be epic. See you there. Boom.
The St. Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival 2026, the ultimate celebration. Sunday, 10th May at Pigeon Island, featuring the legendary Billy Ocean. Billy Ocean. Beverly Knight, Mervyn Wilkinson, headlining the festival fresh off their world tour. R&B icons Brandy and Monica.
When I first saw you, I already knew. Angel of mine.
Online tickets available at stluciajazzandartsfestival.com.
Don't forget, it's all about St. Lucia Jazz 2026 from April 30th to May 11th. Make it a date. Take your mother's name and take her out. Do something. Take your partner out. Have a great time. St. Lucia Jazz 2026. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome, and thank you guys for staying tuned. We want to see again. I want to really say thank you to our guests tonight. I want to say, guys, thank you for being part of our Bouyon Talk Show. I really appreciate you guys making the time to be here, and I really hope it is not your last time. I want to put an open invitation for when your group decides they're passing through. I can say we can accommodate you on Watch Radio NYC. So feel free to just drop by and say, Peter, we're in town, or Peter, we want to have a discussion, and I will say, okay, we'll make the time for you guys. All right. Let's talk a little bit about what success. How do you guys define success as a group? And I would ask, what impact are you hoping to accomplish? You know, how do you see yourself impacting the community? And who would like to take on that challenging question?
Well, in terms of, I'm gonna try, right? Because it's very difficult to measure, especially on a small level. But I tell you something on a global stage. Picture this. Chris talked earlier about polio plus, right? And but the eradication of polio. Do you know that between 28 and 30 million people can walk today because of Rotary, right? Because until the 60s and 70s, and in some parts of the world to this day, it's a very much crippling disease, right? That people had to go into these iron lungs, for example. I mean, the older people would remember them. My sister-in-law had polio as a child. She walks almost normal now, but she grew up in Austria where there was help for that, right? But in the 60s, she had polio, and we all contribute to this fund, right? And what Rotary does, it always looks for strategic partners worldwide. So, for example, we work with the WHO, the World Health Organization. We work with governments in troubled areas. We work, of course, with the Bill Gates Foundation that matches every dollar we raise for polio plus with $2, 2 to 1. I'll give you another story. Rotary is one of the very few organizations that has a peace deal with the Taliban. The Taliban used to kill volunteers in Pakistan, Afghanistan, because they were deemed to be dangerous when they give these 2 drops to a child to prevent it from getting polio, right? Repeatedly. The word on the ground was these girls may not be able to have children because these people coming here and giving you some voodoo medicine. We have a relationship now that the Taliban protects volunteers when they go from village to village to treat these people. And so we measure other things too on a smaller level, right? A child that now all of a sudden has access to clean drinking water or a bathroom. Or in the case of St. Lucia, in the 80s, I believe, there was a disease in the rivers, and I'm sorry to bore you with this, but there was a disease in the rivers called bilharzia that was basically caused by bacteria that lived in that river, and people that bathed in the river and sometimes by accident or intentionally consumed that water would get sick and would get that very bad disease. The Rotary clubs would sponsor shower stations and bathrooms along these rivers to eventually eradicate bilharzia in the country. So these are measurable things. It depends. One child, we're building an artificial limb center now, right? Where about officially 264 people are looking for an artificial limb. And we're gonna find a way to make it accessible at a lower price. And if only one man or woman, right, can walk and contribute to life again, instead of hobbling on his knees or begging in front of a supermarket, then it's measurable and it's probably worth it, right?
Let me tell you, I totally agree. If you can change one life, it is worth it. So thank you for that, Conrad. Thank you. And I don't know if anybody else have anything they wanted to add.
I would quickly say that in order to measure success, one of the things that we do as a club is we have an action plan as part of the Rotary International Directive. But as a club, we work on what we want to be the club, what we want to see as success and how we measure it. So yeah, from a macro level, definitely. How do we show up in the world as an organization that does well? But then to do that, we have to go down to the micro level, and each club has to then say, this is what we want to do to contribute to the greater good. So it takes a lot of management across the board, but very, very conscious effort. It doesn't happen by magic.
Thank you for that. Thank you. I just saw Natalie laugh out loud at what I said, and then Mary Beth says, Peter, ask Conrad about membership on our club. You would be a great. Thank you for that, Mary Beth. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I second that.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Alwyn, since you're the one speaking, let me ask you. How do you identify the needs of a community that you serve? How do you know? How do you go about figuring what project should I work on, or how do you identify a Caribbean country or country to help?
I think that one of the things as a Caribbean E+ club, right? We work within the diaspora. So at the moment, what we do is members of the club will bring to our attention where there is need. For instance, with the artificial limb project, certainly that's something that's going to make a great impact in the community. With the water project, Mary Beth Sutton, who is, our water diva. She knows all things water. So she brought that to our attention. Another one of our members, Sabine Sildilia, who's in the French Caribbean islands, she talks about Jump and Smile, which is a way of preventing childhood obesity. So, from her perspective, she remembered as a child what it was like to, be out and in the open air and fresh air, exercising, having fun. So the important thing about projects like that is we want to make sure that they're scalable and that we can move them from place to place to place. So while we start out in St. Lucia, because we have maybe a little more physical representation there, the larger objective is to make sure that we can then move that project into Trinidad, into St. Kitts, into Guyana, into St. Vincent, and have it be as important and as effective. So that's how we find out right now. And of course, we'll also work in partnerships. So somebody else might bring to our attention that there is a project in Jamaica, say, that we want to work on. Is that our district? Doesn't matter. Anyway, and so we can partner with that team to bring about their project as well. So,
you just said something very interesting. You said, "Is that your district?" So are you guys assigned? So no, sorry, it's just me. I sometimes listen, I sometimes hear, right? So I ask the question. In terms of the Rotary Club, there are like different districts that you guys are responsible for, different areas that you cover. Just because that was an interesting point that you just made.
I'm going to shoot this one to Chris.
Well, I mentioned earlier there's a reporting structure, and basically the club reports into a district, and the district's we all network very closely. We have an annual conference every year, and our conference this year is actually in St. Lucia, and it's in 10 days' time, and it's been chaired by Conrad. He's hosting this whole event. His name comes up a lot, and that's his challenge because he lives in St. Lucia and none of us do. So that's the district. And then we see all the club members come from St. Kitts, Trinidad, Barbados, Guyana, French Guyana, the ABC Islands. We all come together, and then they in turn, one or two members from our district also become very involved in the actual zone, and in turn the zone is much larger, but fewer people involved there, and then that in turn reports to Rotary International's board. So there is a section, and so we have our own little zone area, pretty much like we're probably similar to what CARICOM is in effect. And then after that, we report into what many places will call Caribbean and Latin America, and then we report into Rotary International. It's probably the easiest way of explaining how it all works.
Thank you for that explanation. I appreciate it. Christopher, since you, in the next 2 months, you'll be without a position, you'll be a regular member. If I can say so, you'll be a regular member. Tell us, in terms of your tenure as president, do you feel that you've accomplished what you've set yourself out to accomplish, and what do you hope to see for the next president? What do you hope that they would accomplish?
Well, there's two sides to that. One is we set our own goals at the beginning of the year, and it's not about me, it's all about the board and the members. So we work very closely together. We set a lot of goals and objectives together as a group. There's no one person who stands out and takes ownership of anything. If it was like that, I think it will break down as a club very quickly. And in order for that to happen, we have a strategic plan. So we sit down as a group and we actually look and see where we want to be over the next 3 to 5 years. And basically, the president is just a steward for a year. It's the club that achieves everything. We work together to accomplish things as a group in the community. And then it gives structure. So there's one person who takes the deciding vote or who wants to take ownership. But everybody, we're leaders amongst leaders. So I don't think it's fair to say that the president accomplished anything. The club accomplished something, and we've sat together and we've set our own goals and objectives for the year. And we've done that as a club. And I think we've been very successful. This has been our first complete year because we only chartered as a club back in November 2024. And so this is our first complete year. And I think we've achieved a lot. The fact that we're still talking to each other is always good news in the first year. And so I think we've achieved a lot. And I think what the goals we have set as a team, I think we've managed to accomplish those.
You know, I'm happy, and I really hope that other organizations are listening to this interview, because I think it's really important. You made a very, very important point, but you said it's not about the president, it's about the board, it's about the organization, and about putting and setting these goals together as a team and accomplishing them together as a team. The president is just there to help to steer the ship forward in the direction that you have already planned. But the president is just there to help you guide that along. So, you know, but I want to ask the president that now, the president-elect, how are you feeling, president-elect? Are you looking forward to your challenge ahead?
Definitely. I mean, it's very exciting, and of course honoring even that the Rotary members want to have maybe that steward next year. But really, to echo what Chris said, our club is as successful as its members, and Rotarians get out of Rotary what they put into it. And with that, it means it's everybody is there together rowing that ship. And I always think about those rowboats on the lake where, you know, it's like 50 or 100 people. If one person is out of sync, that boat might just be spinning around. Right. If one side is going in the wrong direction, again, that boat might just be spinning around. So we're all in sync. We're all rowing. We're all going together. And yes, there might be a matelot at the helm, but really, if nobody's following what's what we said or where we're going, then it's really all for nothing. And so just to echo that, our club is as strong as its members. And when we were chartered, we started with about 32 thereabout. And after 1 year, we're at 40. And I'm hoping that as we move forward, we get to that 50 mark within the next few months, you know, as a small medium-term goal. But the diaspora and the Caribbean has so many people with so much talent, energy, and maybe this type of model for a club will be the answer. And we can see ourselves growing beyond hundreds, maybe, I don't know, 200,000. Let's see where we can go. You know, with Facebook, you try to get followers. The more followers, the better. But really active persons who are involved and want to make a difference in the community. So I'm excited. I am looking forward. I've been in Rotary for a while, and of course we can talk about Rotary for a lot more time than we have. But the youth are involved in Rotary through Interact, which is within the 14 to 18 age range, and then for Rotaract, which is after 18 thereabout. And I've been in Interact and then Rotaract, and even now, whenever somebody asks, it's like, you're still in Rotaract, and it's hard to tell them, well, I'm no longer in Rotaract, I'm now in Rotary. But you know, there is an opportunity and there is involvement, and there is a way that people can find to give back to the community. And that is why, for me, it's just exciting to be in that position after being involved for such a long time.
You make it sound so exciting, and listen to you guys, it appears to be very exciting. Natalie, you know what? Do not look for any trouble with me. Natalie what did Natalie do here? She said www.peterjohnrotaryclubplus.com. You know. Anyway, I love that girl. But Conrad, let's talk a little bit about how can individuals become part of the Rotary Club? How can, if someone is interested, how can they get in touch and be part of something? I think is quite amazing.
I just call 1-800-Zamala, No, I think our friend here that is taking you on said it right. If you're really interested and you feel you have something to contribute to your community, right? Look at it at your neighborhood, something that's bothering you, and become the champion of that issue in your neighborhood. Then go to RotaryCaribbeanPlus.org actually, or just type into Google Rotary Caribbean Plus, it'll come up. And then you can read about us, you can find us how you can join, or you can just contact us, and then somebody, it's usually me, because I'm membership director this year, next year, I will then send you a personal response. And then if Rotary is for you and you can commit to meetings, then we would invite you to join a couple of our Zoom meetings. And then if you're more interested, an orientation session, a Rotary chat that is totally casual. And if that's still interested, then we'll tell you what it takes to join.
So there's kind of a vetting process, if that makes sense. It's not only about, I kind of get the impression it's not only about if the person is interested, but also you want to make sure that person is the right fit for the organization.
Well, it sounds terrible, but in the old days, it was by invitation only. These days, you can apply to Rotary. Usually, we'll find out if people don't show up for the first few meetings and don't show an interest, then it's not for them. They were just curious, and that is okay too. It's not for everybody, right? And if it is for you, then you can find a home and channel your positive energy in a meaningful way.
And I wanted to put a spin on that, Peter, because it's not about whether the person is a right fit for the club. It's about whether the club is a right fit for the person.
Okay.
Because remember, we're welcoming, we're the vibe. But if this is not your vibe, and that is okay. If Rotary or Rotary Caribbean Plus is not what is going to work for you, that is okay. And that's why the time that Conrad speaks about, coming to our meetings is for you to evaluate, is this going to work out for me? Is this something that I can truly commit to and be involved in? So it's less about, we're picking and choosing you. You're eventually putting yourself through that process as you try to determine, is this going to work for me?
Spoken as a true president-elect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man.
Guys, all good things must come to an end, and so must Bouyon. But before I come to an end, I want to give each of you the opportunity to address the audience. If there's something you want to say, anything you want to say to them, feel free to do so now. And what I will do, I think I'll start with Christopher. We'll go down to the president-elect. We'll do you, Alwyn, and then we'll do Conrad last. Okay, so we take the man, one man first, then a lady, then another lady, and then Conrad. All right, so let's do it in that order. So Christopher, and one more thing I forget to say. 30 seconds each person, please. I'm like that.
Okay. Well, in the first instance, Peter, can I just say thank you so much for inviting us for this show. It's been absolutely fantastic. We've enjoyed sharing our thoughts with you. We hope that we've met a wider audience, an opportunity for people in New York who want to join our club. I think this is a great opportunity for them, and they can really get a feel for what Rotary is about. And we really would like to invite them to join our club, and we can send you the link for our club so that people can see how much fun and what a vibe we have.
Thank you for that, Christopher. Thank you. Zaha?
Yes, thanks again for having us, and to all your listeners, thanks for putting up with us. One of the things I want to say is, I'm sure we're all familiar with that old African proverb about wanting to go fast, you go alone, but if you want to go far, you go together. And that's what Rotary gives, the opportunity to do good together, because your $1 might not do it, but if we all put our dollars together, we can definitely help our communities, vulnerable communities in the Caribbean and in the world, because we're plus.
Thank you. Owen?
I believe that this is a great club. Not only do we serve the community, but we serve each other within the club. One member, veteran member, once said to me, one of the reasons he stayed with Rotary for so long and loves our club so much is because of the feeling of camaraderie, friendship, fellowship. Whenever we get together, the word vibe comes out, but it's so true. We get along. We're a family, so there's always something, but we get along, we like each other, and that really shows in the work that we do with the community.
Thank you. And the veteran.
David, the old man. David, thank you to you and your audience. It has all been said, I suppose. I really believe now that we talked about Rotary and people that listen to us and they see that symbol there in the background, they will probably notice it more often. So you may see somebody with a Rotary pin, just ask him about Rotary, and usually you get a long response, right? Because really and truly, we are people of action that unite for good in the world.
Thank you so much, guys. I want to also thank ASD Angela. I want to say thank you she was the conduit and facilitated this. Reach out to me and say, Peter, I want you to meet with my team, blah blah blah, with the Rotary Caribbean Plus and so on. I said okay, and then I'm really happy I did. When you said something that's very important, and you also made that point on Saturday, which kind of really resonated with me, and I like that. One of the things you said to me is not just like a club, but like you feel that presence of family, that you'll look out for each other, and that really kind of resonated with me, and I love that. So for persons listening, if you want to be part of something amazing, part of an amazing group of people, I think it's a good place to start. Of course, you can go online, and I'm going to get the link from you guys, and I will put it on Watch Radio as well, so we can chat with everybody. And if they're interested, have a read, have a look. You might just find something that you love there. What is Natalie saying? Well done, guys. You've done our club proud. I just might have... there is a glass of, Natalie, I don't think Natalie, the truth be told, right? I don't think you did anything to have a nice glass of wine, all right, young lady? But anyway, you can have it on their behalf, right? Once again, I want to say, thank you guys so much for being here. I want to say thank you for the audience. You guys have been amazing. Thank you. I see we had about live people, I think about 700 plus persons viewing right now. I'm sure by the time we leave, there are going to be quite a few other persons who have viewed. Margaret says great representation. Thank you, Margaret. So again, I want to say thank you guys. Thank you. You guys have made my job tonight so easy. It's been such a pleasure. I have had so much fun on the show tonight. So that's a reflection of how great you guys are, right? As my guess. Busted. You are indeed busted. Charlie Renwick says, well said, Natalie. Great job, team. So proud of you. And your team members are very proud of you guys. I am very proud of you all as well. Wow.
You'll soon be a member, so you'll be proud of yourself.
Yeah. Let us know when you're next down in St. Lucia. We'll have a pop-up meeting for you.
I know when I'll be in St. Lucia next. I have an event I'm doing so Watch Radio and Night Blinks event. We're doing like about 3 years ago, I started an event in St. Lucia called Carnival in the South because I saw there was a need to do something in the South. And then what we did last year was we did a breakfast fete kind of in the South. But this year we've taken it up north. So July 12th, I'll be in St. Lucia, I think, very early July. But July 12th we'll be having a breakfast fete in St. Lucia, so we'll be there doing our thing. Watch Radio will be there. So definitely, I hope to see some of you guys if you're on island, connect and so on. So anyways, guys, I want to once again say thank you so very much. Good night, goodbye, and audience, members of my audience, I want to say thank you so much, guys. I hope for some of you who I saw for the very first time, I hope it is not the last. I have a very good memory. I remember people I see, all right? So thank you, guys. Thank you.
We're neighbors, so you never know.
Good night and goodbye. Thank you.